Hey, how you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. I'm gonna need you to speak as clear and as close to the phone as you can. Hopefully
Oh
you're
my
not.
God, shouldn't we do like a pre-meet before this?
Well, yeah, this is the pre-meet. I don't want to over take too much of time. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and no. Listen, we go back like Cadillac, and whatever it takes is fine with me. If you need more time, it's fine. I'm just getting right on it. You know.
Okay.
So no, I just want to make sure if you're on speaker, make sure you're no further than maybe a foot away from your microphone. If you're on a headset, just try to speak as close and as clear as you can because I'm a technical guy. I'm an audio guy by nature.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I've got it right here at my face.
Okay, I'm going to try to keep you inside a half hour if you can give me that time. If it goes less or more, that's fine. But let me just explain to you. We did this before. I don't think our last interview made it to the airwaves, but this one is definitely going to make it. But I want to tell you a little bit about my live stream. It's called SWIM. It's the acronym for Say What You Mean, SWYM. And it's pretty much just talk about talking. Any subject is fine. It's the focus is on how we listen, how we hear, how we pay attention, what we do with the information we gather along the way, and just how we use it. So it doesn't matter what the topic is. I have a few things I want to throw out, and if you have any question at all for me, feel free to ask. This isn't to trap anybody. This isn't to embarrass anybody. This isn't to do anything other than just listen, hear, and pay attention. And I have so admired you in many ways, but in particular, I know for sure you have some fairly strong political views. Am I correct on
Right.
that?
Yes.
And I know you pretty much stand firm. You don't care who's looking, who's not looking, who's listening, and what they have to say. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say. And that's probably why I like it, and one of the many reasons that I like you. And as you well know, we are into something very heavy, with the election and everything. And there's so much to be said. There's so much to be heard. There's so much to how do I even say it? There's so much to watch. There's so many messages that are being said and not said in everything that's going on. And I like different perspectives for different reasons. So I have some things that I want to ask you right up front, if you don't mind, unless you have any questions for me. By the way, no one will ever know your name. I don't post names. I try not to mention locations or tags or brands or anything. The only way anyone will ever know it's you is if they recognize your voice. And my live stream may get 40 views in 3 months. So I'm almost, I don't like to say a nobody, but no one knows who I am. So it's just between you and me pretty much, and whoever may click on this 20 years from now. So
Okay.
that's the thing. So with that being said, do you have any questions for me before we get going? And here's another thing. Sometimes I'll ask a yes or no question. You can always explain. If you can answer yes or no, by all means do so. If you can't, then just do what you do the best you can. So do you have any questions for me before we get started?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I watched the meeting last night with your cousin Donald Trump, and and the meeting that was on stage with the ladies. And this just happened last night, and oh, did you see it? Did you hear about it?
No, I don't even watch TV.
What?
No, I don't.
Okay, this is going to be even more interesting. Well, I don't either, but there are some things that I do catch and some things that I can't help but at least get an opinion on, and that's what I'm doing now. So tell me this, so we can't talk about that too much. What are your thoughts about what's going on in politics as far as the election is concerned?
You know what? I mean, you're probably not going to like what I have to say or agree with it, but, like I said, I very rarely watch TV. Once in a while, if there's a great movie, my husband's like, let's watch it. I'm like, okay. Um, but as far as I honestly think in politics, I'm so over it. I do lean conservative. But as far, I mean, I have a lot of liberal beliefs as well, but overall, I would say more conservative. But I honestly think there's not a lot of impact we're going to have to vote. I'm a big conspiracy theorist, so I think there's things going on behind the scenes that we don't know anything about. I mean, when you look at COVID, when you look at how we're being pulled in a million different directions, when you look at the movies that predict the future and what's going to happen, when you look at things that you've seen on Star Wars or even like The Simpsons that have kind of come to fruition, even like Trump being president at all.
That was funny when we heard that years ago.
You know what? It was, there's a lot of things that are predicted. So, I mean, like the Obama movie, like to leave the world behind or whatever. I mean, I think that's totally possible. I think it's going to happen. So, yeah, I'm just kind of over. I mean, I don't think anybody has your best interest at heart. I don't think Kamala does. I don't think Trump does. And what's that native saying? The wings, or the bird has, the wings are the left and right side of the same bird. It's the same bird. It's just the left and the right side. They're all in the same animal. They don't care about us. They never have. We're pawns, and we're here to do their bidding and to be brainwashed and not think and not come together. And the more we're separated, the more powerful they are. The more we hate each other and disagree over bullshit like politics or skin color or sexual preference, the better off they are, the more power they have to control. So, yeah, I'm just like, I used to hear of people that, went off into the wilderness or up into the mountains, and they grow their own food, and they don't have a lot to do with technology or people, and they just kind of do their own thing. I used to think they were like wacko. And now I'm beginning to think maybe they're on something.
They're definitely onto something. Well, when I hear you say we and they, it's clear who you're talking about. But I do want to say this. What do you think the reason is that there's not more of an uproar? Obviously, something's going on. And as far as we are concerned, I'll just take that one. The average person that's not in politics, that's not in, major corporations or, just the average, everyday person, we seem to be suffering a little more, and we're at the hands of people who are in control. Why do you think there's not a more of an uproar? Why are we conforming so easily?
Because we're sheeple. Because we're like a child. I mean, if you tell a child, your parent doesn't love you, even if your parent is abusive, what that child does? It comes right back for more. It does not want to believe that parent is going to be abusive. And we, as sheeple in this environment, we don't want to believe the government doesn't have our best interest at heart. It's hard for us to swallow. We'd rather put our head in the sand and ignore it. We'd rather stand in line and take the vaccine or take any kind of drug that they pump into our children, pump into us, that we've been doing forever. Treatments for illnesses and diseases, because we refuse to believe that they don't want what's best for us. That's hard. That is very hard to accept. That your parent, your government, would be planning your demise or to harm you on purpose. That's not something anybody wants to hear. So it's hard to wrap your head around. So I think that's it. I think that's why we're just compliant and we're doing whatever they say, and we are walking in lockstep how they want us to go, hating who they want us to hate.
Speaking of hate, there seems to be one or the other, whether it's now Kamala or Trump. You either love one or hate the other, or vice versa. And I want to talk about Trump in particular. Let me just set the record straight. I can't say I have a dog in the fight. I have not decided who I'm going to vote for. It's going to be a game time decision for me. But I would like to know but I noticed there's quite a bit of hate for Trump. Any idea? Why is there so much hate? There's some things that he has said, especially with the border. And that's the only thing I can think of, and probably the only thing we have time for. I think that is an extremely good policy in terms of the border. And there's a lot of things about both candidates, and as you said, they're both part of the same bird. But particularly with him, I kind of like that policy, and I think it's important. But
I think it's good.
No, I just don't understand why so much hate. No one's going to be perfect, and yes, he does have a way about him that can be provocative to some people. But I'm looking at policies, and with my limited knowledge of politics, what he says about the border is important to me, and I don't understand the extreme hate.
Well, I can't explain that either because I don't love or hate either of them. I would rather have one in office over the other because I think one would stand up and defend this country. And it's not that I even like him as a person. For me, at this point, we have fallen so low as a country politically. To me, it's the lesser of two evils. I don't want either one. I would prefer another. But do you want to give me herpes or you want to give me a deadly cancer? Well, I may take the herpes. I don't want it, but I'll take it. So, yeah, I don't understand why people hate him so much. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, they want to say he's a racist or he's, misogynistic. I just think he's an elitist. I think he thinks he's better than anybody, no matter what color. I think he thinks he's the greatest. He's got these ideas in his head. I don't like that type of person at all. I would never want to have dinner with him. But if I could put a muzzle on him and say, make decisions about the border, make decisions about the economy, because he has run very successful companies. He didn't get to be one of the richest men in the world by being an idiot. So he's actually done some things. And I can't say that about Kamala. I mean, what has she done?
Okay, which leads us right to the initial question. You didn't see it. I don't know enough about politics. I'm one of those people who go more on how I feel, and that's very contradictory coming from me because I'm not a big feelings person. But when I don't know something, then I have no choice but to go with what I feel. And there was a meeting. I'm not going to talk about which meeting it was, but there were some ladies on a panel, and they were questioning Mr. Trump. And they started out with a question that seemed to get heated really fast. At least that's what the media is saying now, that the meeting, the interview was contentious. And I guess it could be, but I saw a lot of value in it, whether it was contentious or not. My point is this. The leading question came out, and it really did, and this is just my opinion, it seemed a bit hostile. It seemed more like, as he said, a statement. It was a point that they seemed to want to make, as opposed to giving him the opportunity to express or explain himself. They just threw a bunch of stuff out there and said, okay, well, how do you feel about it? And he did what he does. He does what anyone would do that would feel like they're being attacked. He kind of made some comments that were deflective in some ways, but he kind of defended himself in terms of, what I could see and understand as to why he did it. And I just didn't like it. And I was hoping you did see it because that's what I wanted your opinion on. The questions directed at him were not questions, to get the truth or to get a real answer, but more to shame or name call. And although, again, I have no dog in the fight, I did not like that. And it comes from both sides. I just didn't like it. It's the most recent thing that happened. I just didn't like how it led out. There was an opportunity to have this particular person on this particular platform. That could have been awesome if they had used, that opportunity in a different way. And I think the energy, the attitude, the way they started it off was kind of embarrassing to me in particular for a lot of ways. I just didn't like it. I thought it was a wasted opportunity, and I don't blame him for the way he responded. Again, I have no dog in the fight, but I can see how he may have even been offended and or felt attacked, and how those questions were directed in a way that would not be welcoming to a guest.
But the thing is, they know, and again, this is why I'm like, he needs a muzzle. He's not presidential. He should have controlled his emotions, and they knew, you know what, we just have to go at him at this angle, and he will lose it, and he will go, and that's more fodder for their, argument against him. But that was his fault for not controlling his tongue and being more presidential. I mean, if you're going to let a conversation or a name calling or innuendo or somebody insinuating this or that get you spun up and off target, then, you're making them right.
Well, I just look at it as a wasted opportunity. And again, I'm not picking sides. I can see how both sides, I understand why they asked those particular questions. They're valid questions. I was actually waiting for, the answer to some of those questions, and I was hoping they would get into them so that the full truth could actually come out instead of speculation and then people taking things, the wrong way, and definitely taking things out of context. But I want to change gears for the sake of time and ask you something different. Of course, you're one of the most beautiful women that I know. Your husband is a very fortunate man to have you, and I'm honored to have you as a friend for so long. This has to do with gender in particular. Is there a difference between men and women? And obviously, men have led the country for so long. Do you think having a woman in office would change the whole direction of how everything has been, for the good or for the not so good, in terms of women and how they respond to certain and particular things?
I think in a perfect world, I think if we had more women around the world, eons ago, the world was women had more influence and power, and I think we were more of a compassionate species. I just don't think, and of course it has to start somewhere. I don't think Kamala's that person to do it. She hasn't proven to me that she would lead us in that direction at all. My only problem is with the majority of the world being controlled by power-hungry men, that we would be completely dominated. I think it would be, for most women, especially women with children, you are going to think long and hard before sending somebody's kids to die in war. And I think for a man, that would be an easier decision to make. I think for women, we'd be a little more hesitant to say, you know what, don't screw with us because we will come and do whatever we need to do. So I don't think now's the time. I mean, we have to start, I think it starts from the ground up and actually see it. I see there's a change, there's a shift. There's more people getting back to nature, getting into yoga, and going more within to look for satisfaction, and that's what we need. I don't think it's ready at the top yet, but I think we start these at the ground level, and I see it happening. Maybe one day. I just don't think we're ready for it right now.
And you do recognize the difference, the obvious difference, of course, between a man and a woman. But in terms of leadership and authority and a few other things, there is definitely a difference in the testosterone of a man leading a country and the estrogen of a woman leading the country. There is a difference. So I don't want to be sexist in any kind of way, but I just believe
that's science, But go ahead.
No, there is a difference. So I don't want to be biased in any kind of way, but I think a woman in that kind of power would definitely send a different message, and we would definitely get some different results. Whether they would be better or not, I don't know, but I know they would definitely be different. And for now, although it's not perfect, I think men doing certain things in certain ways, I'm comfortable with that, and that's where I'll leave that. I do
Absolutely.
have. Do you have anything for me now? Because I do have a couple more, and we're going to be out of here in about 9 more minutes.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
No, but I was just saying. I think we agree more than we disagree.
Okay. Well, okay. So here's another one of my points in terms of what they were discussing. Race. As far as I'm concerned, me being what I know to be as a dark-skinned, dark-complected man, I identify with more black than anything else. And from what I understand, black from my culture is an American and a descendant of a slave. Of course, you've got African Americans, you have Jamaican Americans, you have different people with black skin from different places. But as far as the USA is concerned, and as far as my culture and from what I know, black to me is a black person in America that's a descendant of slaves. Can you see that as a fair assessment of what black is?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as it relates to Kamala and the back and forth with whether she's black or not, can you just tell me your thoughts before I ask you my question? What is she to you? Is she considered black? Yes or no?
Well, they say she's black, but I don't think. For me, I would not use that in this country for describes what we call a black human being. So no, I mean, to me, no. But
So what is black to you? What is black to you in terms of what you know black to be? Not skin color, not, geographic, but geographically. What's black to you?
well, I mean, as far as race goes, I mean, for me, it's exactly what you said. Black people in this country
In this country,
that are descendants of slaves.
American
Period.
slaves.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, Obama was not black. Or was he?
Not to me. Well, his mom's white and his dad was from,
So he was clearly multiracial. He was mixed.
yes.
Okay.
But that's what I don't get either. Like, my kids are half native, half white. So why would they automatically go with the darker selection
I don't know.
as their but anyway, go ahead. Continue.
Okay. So, and even back with her, she's Jamaican Indian from what I understand. And, is she really black? And I maybe this is probably, I'm going to say it, probably not the most intelligent conversation we can have, but it's out there and we're talking about it. Does it really matter? Yes or no?
What if
If Obama was black, if anybody else is, if she's black, why are we making that a big deal? And I guess the point where I'm eventually going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to let you go on time. There are people that are voting for her just because she's black.
right?
And I'm going to be honest. Okay, I'm about to admit something. Oh, I shouldn't do this. Should I do it?
Yes, please.
Should I do it? I don't want to do it. Should I do it? Do it.
Please.
Okay, I voted for Obama because he was black. I voted for Obama because he was black. And now I realize that was not smart or intelligent of me. And I asked the good Lord to forgive me. That was not right. But there was a part of me that saw his skin tone and with him being a man and said, well, yeah, I'm going to do it. Of course, his opponent was not necessarily what I was looking for either. But I realized that was not intelligent. And when I see it happening now, I know for sure there are many people that I've encountered and I've heard, especially with, the media, the little that I do watch, they're just doing it just because she's a woman and just because she's black, regardless of her qualifications. That bothers me. Does it make a difference? Yes or no?
It should not make a difference.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's like, that is the only thing. Why, when it comes to politics, when it comes to anything.
Okay, let me say this. As it relates to a man and a woman, it does make a difference. I believe it can. If you look at any other decisions and the way women think and the way they make decisions, there is a big difference in how men are motivated. And I do think it could make a difference. Whether it does or not, I don't know enough, and it would take some more communication for me. But I do believe if an average black person could get in that position in some kind of way, it would make a difference. I don't think it's open to the average black person or just, the qualified black person because of, guess what? The way we think, the way we view things, our experiences. Men and women have different experiences. They're motivated on different levels. White men have been motivated different ways. Black men, we're motivated different ways. So I believe if a black man, descendant of an American slave who's qualified, would get in that position, we would definitely see some different things. And I do think it does make a difference. Well, no, I say it could make a difference. Whether it does, I still don't know. So that's my 2 cents, and I think I'm gonna let you go on that. This has been pretty good. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Why did you think it was going to be bad?
Well, I did. I'm just messing with you because I know you. You are pretty strong. You say what you mean and you mean what you say, and I respect that. I've loved you from day one. Sometimes you can get rough, And sometimes I've been wanting to say, yeah, why don't you just cool it for a minute? But I respect it still.
I know.
You.
What, my kids will say, Mom, you can be a little toxic sometimes with your words. So
I wouldn't use toxic. I would use it. Maybe a little aggressive sometimes, but that's okay, because you know what? There are men like me and maybe your husband who will get you in check when you need to be checked.
Thank goodness for that.
I'm messing with you. Anyway,
I know.
I think we need to do this a little more. I think we're both, a little tight around the neck right about now. You still have to get back to work, and so do I. But I enjoy your perspectives. I don't like them all. I don't agree with them all, but I respect them 100%. And sometimes I would like to get more in depth with some of the things and why you think some of the ways you do. So let's try to do this another time. I'm a nobody. I do my live stream. I don't mean I'm a nobody. My mother wouldn't appreciate that. I mean, I'm not known like that. And my background in radio just caused me to, do this, out of COVID. And I enjoy it. It's, therapy for me. And I enjoy interacting with people. But I would really like to get more of your brain exposed for why you do what you do. And not just you. There are many people that I'd like to hear from. I believe in my heart that I have the ability to really listen and hear and pay attention to what's exactly coming out of many people's mouths that sometimes they may not even realize. And I'm not saying that about anyone in particular, but I like listening and hearing and asking random questions. I hate that we talk about politics. I like to talk about some other things because, again, I like your way of thinking, and I'd like to get more involved with how you think. So if you'll come back another time, I'd definitely appreciate it. Any last questions, thoughts, views, or comments before we go? Don't say no.
Yeah, well, it's nothing that wouldn't take us into a tailspin. So we'll just hold that for another session.
Okay, I appreciate you.
But this has been great. Thank you. It's fun.
Absolutely. We'll do it again soon. I'll be in touch.
Okay, take care.
Okay, see you. All right. There you have it, my friends. That's another edition of SWIM, SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. Are you saying what you mean? I certainly hope so. With that being said, I'm going to close on this note. I do know, as the saints used to say back in the days, we sure living in the end days. Well, if it's never been true, I can definitely see it right now. What's happening right now everywhere with everything, the winds of change. I don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to affect, the majority of people, but what you're seeing now in the world is definitely different from whenever I was a youngster. And I'm embarrassed in some ways, impressed in some ways, and amazed in some ways. I'm not judging anyone. I'm not criticizing anyone or anything. I do have an opinion based on, what I can reason with. And that's all I try to do here on this particular live stream. Just want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your thoughts, views, and comments as well. Find someone you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it. Show it, mean it, and let it be true. Till the next time, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.